us off.
Oh yeah, Britt's gonna do the introduction.
Yeah.
Turn it around. Starring Nicole! Oh wow, that's great. Okay. Hi everyone. So who was there the last time I did this? Which was like when you guys were kids? Last year? Three. Really okay. Perfect. All right. So my name is Nicole, obviously, and I am a dietitian, and I play for the attack. So I play against you guys. We're gonna be talking about nutrition. So specifically for Ringette, I'm mostly gonna focus on like for nationals, what you guys should do. So we'll talk about like pre-game, post-game, in between games, that type of stuff. But if you have any questions, don't be shy. So the first thing I'm going to do actually is I just want to know like how much do you guys know about nutrition? Is there anybody that reads a lot or basically what's on Facebook? Okay, how much do you focus on it? Is it something that's important for you? Anyone? No? Yes? No? Okay. You know? Okay. All right. It's actually very, very important. As you get older, it gets even more important. So when you get to our age, everything you eat really matters. But for your age, it's going to be mostly for nationals where it's really important. Because if you don't hydrate yourself well, if you don't eat well, it can affect your performance by over 50%. Even more up to 75% for some people. So that means take your best game and cut your performance in half. If that's all that you have to give to your team from New Brunswick, chances are you're not going to win. So it's very, very important to hydrate well and to replenish everything well. So we're going to talk about that. So the first thing I want to get you guys to do is to work. So can you divide yourselves in like 3 groups maybe? So like here, here, and then the back. I want you guys to write what you think would fit under the group of carbs, protein, and fats. So write the different foods that you would put under every category.
Like
if it's
good
wrong,
or bad?
Good or bad,
Okay.
doesn't matter. If it's wrong, it's okay, we're gonna go through it, but I want to see what you guys know, and then that's really where we're gonna take this for the rest of the talk. So I'm gonna give you some papers, so you guys can form a group. There.
Oh, are you guys here?
Yeah, and then in the back, and I'll give you some Sharpies.
Yo, doing. Oh, does the person have to sit on this to be taller?
Oh, you don't know.
There's Monica.
They're only 4, so you
Are we
nutritionist. So clearly you need to do some math.
Yeah. Yes, I got the answer. My science teacher, bio teacher, told me that.
Oh, perfect.
I'm like, spaghetti. I don't know oh my god. I turned this
Okay, stay in your groups.
Yeah, we're staying in our groups.
Alright. So I'm going to go around one group at a time, and I'll ask you guys, so we'll start with the carbs. And I'm going to list everything on the board because there's going to be another activity after where you'll have to plan meals and snacks for different scenarios. Okay? So carbs. What do you guys have for carbs?
Spaghetti.
Okay.
Just put pasta, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Bread.
Bread. Okay.
Rice.
Rice.
Sounds good.
You texted. Brittany, turn off your phone.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I was waiting for an answer from Jess.
I'll tell Jess to stop talking. Okay.
Cereal.
Cereal. Okay.
Oh shoot, that's
It's
really
good. It's good.
Cookies.
Okay.
Granola.
Granola.
You said granola. And then she said complex carbs. I don't even know what complex carbs are.
That's a group. Okay.
Fruits and like
Fruits. Okay.
vegetables. I don't know.
And what did you say? Vegetables?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, you are my idol.
Thank you. Okay, next in the back. Any carbs that we missed?
No.
No? Okay, you guys, anything else you had on the list? No? Okay. Coaches, anything we missed? Rupert, anything we missed?
He won't talk on camera.
No?
Are your meats carbs or that's protein?
That's protein.
I got you.
I said,
Okay.
Nuts.
Nuts.
No?
No,
Oh, go for
Oh, are
protein.
we?
I got this.
Protein.
Okay,
No,
so
we're
let's
saying
go in
you're
the
nuts.
back with protein.
Okay. Eggs.
Okay.
Fish. Peanut butter. Oh, awkward.
Okay.
That is protein.
No? Keep going.
Oh, chocolate. Peanuts are protein.
Okay.
Chocolate milk. And that's all I got.
Okay.
Take it away.
That's it? Okay. Next. Any other proteins? Okay. Any other proteins?
Tofu.
Okay, we got some vegetarians.
Yogurt.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thanks.
I take it back.
Okay. Anything else?
You tell us.
I'm asking you guys. No? Coaches, anything else? No?
Steven, now you can say meat.
Do we look like we have proteins?
Do I have to answer that? Okay. Alright, fats. Let's start with you guys.
Donuts.
Okay.
I love those. Milk.
Okay.
Milk.
Milk.
Oh, milk.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep going.
Ah.
Bacon. Yeah.
What else do we have?
Ice cream. Okay, really saving up.
Cheese. Okay. Cheese. Yep.
Ah, I told you so.
Said you good guy.
Okay. Vector bar.
Yeah. Said but protein.
Fat. Fat.
Say that carb.
Why am I writing this down?
No, say
Okay.
my face. It's for an actual bar. On candy. No, I guess it is just
Candy's
Carbs.
Candy's carbs.
anyways. Shut up.
Okay. Chips.
Good carb.
Okay.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Sauce or dressing?
Okay.
Oh, you're switching cursive. Dressing. Oh, no,
Okay. Anything else? Coaches?
Dude, that's when you zoom in on them, Dad.
That's when you say
I'll add just a couple more things.
Hummus?
no.
Ben die mist
Oh, what is
toch wel een
hummus?
beetje-
You don't know
Hummus
hummus?
Hummus? No, hummus is fat. It's good fat.
Oh,
It's
that is
fat.
good.
There's only like 1 gram of protein. Very little. Okay. So, when it comes to your performance, which one do you think is more or the most important?
Carbs.
Why?
Because it gives you energy.
Okay.
And gives your muscles, stuff. Energy and stuff.
Okay. Anyone else think anything different? No, we're all on carbs? Carbs, yeah. Carbs? Okay, that's the right answer. So carbs are basically the equivalent of sugar. Okay. So anytime you eat any of these foods, not all vegetables, but your starchier vegetables, so potatoes, corn, squash. So anytime you eat any of these foods in that category, you digest it, it turns into sugar. Okay, so bread, once you eat it, you digest it, it's sugar. Okay, so the reason that's so important is because your muscles need sugar, your brain needs sugar in order to perform. So if you don't have enough sugar, you're not going to have the energy that you need. So your muscles are going to be lacking. If you get cramps during games. So if you haven't eaten enough and you get cramps, that's usually because you're not eating enough carbs. If you have a hard time concentrating, so if you haven't had breakfast and you go to school and you can't concentrate, it's because your brain's looking for sugar. So it wants some carbs. Now, is there anything in that list that might not be the best sources of sugar?
Candy.
Okay. On the same page. Anything else?
Cookies.
Cookies, yeah. Okay. So that's the difference between the whoever said complex, who said complex carbs? Yeah. So complex carbs versus simple carbs. So your simple carbs are the carbs that we kind of don't want to have too much of because they're kind of useless. So things like candies and cookies and desserts that have sugar or just added sugar. So if you, I don't know, if you eat cereal and you add sugar to it, those are the simple carbs. So those are things that basically it's just digested. There's nothing to them. They don't really give you any nutrients. So candy is not going to give you anything except for sugar. So you don't want to, you can have them, obviously you can have treats, but you don't want to focus too much on them because they're not really giving you anything. The complex carbs are all the other ones that are listed that are going to give you fiber, which keeps you full, and it's also going to give you the right energy that you want. So when do you think is the best time to eat your carbs? When do you want to eat the most of them?
3 to 4 hours before your game.
What was that?
3 to 4 hours
Yep.
before your game.
3 to 4 hours before your game. It's good. There's another time that's even more important. After your game. Okay, so when you're working out, basically what you're doing, so that works for like a workout tonight or a game. What happens is you're burning all the sugar that you have in your blood, and then you're going into your muscles and you're taking the sugar. So when you eat sugar, you're not using it all, so you store it in your muscles. And when you're doing exercise, you're going to go take that sugar out of your muscle and use it for energy. So that's what you're doing during a ringette game. So if you don't give that energy back to your muscles, what do you think is going to happen? So you're at nationals. You just had a big game.
It's sore.
Your legs are hurting, and then you have no sugar left, so no energy left in your muscles. You have 2 games tomorrow, and you don't eat, or you don't eat the right stuff. You go eat chocolate and ice cream.
You're gonna be tired, you're gonna be.
Yep.
no energy.
Tired, no energy. You're going to be really sore the next day, so your legs are going to hurt, and every time you try to skate, you're just going to say, I have no legs, my legs are jello, I don't know what to do. Okay, so it's the after the game that's really important. So if you don't do that right after the game, and when I say right after the game, it's within 2 hours is ideal. If you don't do that right after the game, you're going to suffer the next day. Okay, so the night of, you'll probably feel fine. You'll wake up the next day, and maybe you will go play 1 game, and then maybe get to your 2nd game, and that's when it's going to hit you. Okay, and it's really hard to try to catch up. So especially when you guys are going to have, it's 2 games per day, right? So you're going to have 2 games. So if you didn't replenish well the night before, and then you go to your first game, and then you say, oh my God, my legs, I didn't eat enough, I need energy, and you only have 3 hours between your games. Well, that's not the time to start packing on all the food, because then you're going to be trying to digest all of that and play another game. So it's really the same day right after your game that you really want to eat your best meal, okay, for the next day. Yeah.
Like, it's very good, but the girls for the nationals, they don't have to be, it's important that they know that, but they don't have to be préoccupés par ça.
Yeah.
Because all their meals for the 8 days are prepared.
Yep.
Okay? But I would also, if you have time at the end, from here to then.
Yeah.
Okay?
Same thing. So after your workout tonight, should be eating. So you have a busy schedule this weekend. You have a game or training tomorrow, 2 games Saturday, training Sunday, or practice Sunday. So after training tomorrow is when you should eat your big meal to give you energy for Saturday.
Is there
Okay.
a time just then, like right now it's 7:30, by the time some of them get back home, it's gonna be 8:30.
Yeah.
So
It should be right away. Obviously, if you're going to bed at 10, you're not going to have a huge meal at 9. So it should be as soon as possible. So like ideally, you guys would be eating right now because you just trained. Okay, so that's the ideal. I know it doesn't always work that way, but if you want to have your best performance the next day, that's what you kind of need to do. So like when they get off a game, the meal should be ready or in preparation for when they get to the hotel. Okay. So that's for carbs. Now a lot of people, any of you would feel they don't eat enough carbs, or are you afraid of carbs? I know when we're teenagers, we don't want to gain weight, and we feel like those foods are going to make us gain weight. Nobody? No? Okay.
No, I'm
Alright.
sure no one's gonna be like,
Some of you probably do, you just don't want to say it. Okay, so those are all good sources of carbs. Okay? Protein, why is that important?
That's what builds up.
Builds up muscles, yep. Why else?
it
Docks
recuperates them.
Yeah, so for recuperating, yeah. Anything else? There's a big one, nobody ever thinks of it. Immune system. Any of you girls sick, getting the flu, colds? Yeah? Yeah. So if you're not, obviously you can't control what's going around in the environment, but if you're not eating enough, and specifically enough protein, and vegetables, but enough protein, your immune system can be lowered when you're an athlete if you're not eating enough protein, and you can get sick easier and faster than most people. Okay? You have a question?
Yeah, so a lot of the girls, or I don't think like a lot of people eat fish too much, like we should be using,
Yeah.
we should be doing. So, do you have any supplements that you would suggest?
For omega-3s?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's usually the only one of the, for girls, if you're looking into supplements, omega-3s is one of the big ones for athletes. So omega-3 fish oils, you can take them in capsules, you can take them in a liquid form, so it's just like a teaspoon of oil, you can put it in your water, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't taste like anything, but definitely can help if you're not eating. So when we say fish, any of you eat 2 to 3 times, fish 2 to 3 times a week? That's the minimum that we recommend, 2 to 3 times per week. Okay, so if you're thinking, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
I did, but then I got kind of sick of it because I ate it so much.
Okay. So that's the tough part. If you're not, then definitely you can take an omega-3 supplement in either pill or liquid form, whatever you prefer. You can get them liquid oils where they taste like lemon or mango or something fun, so they're not as gross. So if ever anybody wants that, I can give you like the amounts that they should be looking for. It can help with muscle recovery, so if you're sore a lot, it can help with that. The other thing for girls sometimes is iron. Not saying everybody needs to use it, but you are as soon as you start your period, plus you're an athlete, you're a girl, need for iron increases. And most girls don't eat as much meat as guys, so it's hard to get enough iron. So if you're tired a lot of the time, I'm going to say if you're pale, but it's the winter so we're all pale, but if you're really, really tired and lacking energy like on a daily basis all the time, that can be something that's going to help. So just to keep that in mind. You can do blood work too if you really want to know. But
So let's say they don't do fish at all, like mine,
Yeah.
she hardly has fish at home, but she
Yeah.
does do lots of meat and eggs. Is that enough? Or do they
it's
actually
enough for
need the fish?
protein,
Okay.
but it's for the omega-3 fats, which
Right.
other than fish, there's not a whole lot
That's
of
the way
other
it-
places where you
okay.
can get it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So other sources of protein, nuts and seeds, protein. However, peanut butter is mostly fat. Okay, so there's very little protein in peanut butter. Doesn't mean you can't have it. It's a good source of fat. Chocolate milk or milk, equal amounts of protein. The difference is obviously chocolate milk has chocolate, so there's more sugar in it. Okay. Tofu, beans, lentils, vegetarian sources of protein, and yogurt. Again, specifically Greek yogurt will have more protein, but if you choose like a flavored yogurt, so strawberry, vanilla, coconut, whatever, it's carbs and protein. If it's a plain yogurt, it's mostly just protein. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Did I ask when this was really important? I asked why, but when is the best time to eat protein?
After these?
Yeah. So best time that you really want to make sure you get it is after a game or after a workout. Okay, so that's leading up to nationals and at nationals. So that's going to help when you're working out. Not only are you getting rid of the sugar in your muscles, but you're also breaking down your muscles. So that's happening when you're skating mostly in your legs. But for tonight, for example, if you did push-ups or core stuff, what you're doing is destroying your muscles so that you can build them back up and build them bigger and stronger. But what happens is if after your workout, you're still breaking down your muscles. So until you give your body protein and carbs, you're going to be breaking down your muscle. So you need to get protein and carbs right away or as soon as possible in order to start the rebuilding phase of the muscles. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yes? No? Okay. All right. Yes?
So the girls, we've had a couple times this year where we played late games, because they're starting to get older.
Yep.
So those late games, when we're talking about, you're saying like an hour afterwards, they wanna make sure they get some carbs and get some protein.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're playing like at 8, and they're not getting back to the hotel till like 9:30, quarter to 10, and then we're asking them to be in bed because they've gotta play, let's say at 9, and they don't wanna take on a big, obviously,
Yeah.
load of food, what would be the best thing for them to have? Like, I mean, a lot of times when we're away, like cereal isn't an option, but I mean, it
On the
could be,
bagel?
but like a bagel.
What'd you say?
A bagel with a bagel?
Yeah.
Bagel
Bagel?
at night, like at 9:30 or 10, because they don't wanna have something big, but so,
Yeah.
so something like that's
Absolutely.
not. so
That's why
for-
chocolate milk is so popular with
Yeah,
sports
sure.
too, because you can
Yeah.
have that in the dressing room.
Yeah.
So it's like right away you start the rebuilding with carbs and protein. It's the combination of the two. Or even like something like a vector bar with your chocolate milk or bagel with that or things like that that are
Okay.
easy to just grab and go. Granola bars. Yeah. Okay. If you can only have one of the two, for example, after a game where you're going to be playing the next game, focus on this the most. So yes, protein is important, but what's really, really important if you're going to play the next day is the carbs to put energy back into your muscles. Okay.
Nicole, il y a certaines filles qui ne boivent pas de lait au chocolat comme après entre les deux games.
Mhm.
Qu'est-ce que tu suggères?
If you don't, something that would be probably the easiest would be something like a vector type bar that has protein and carbs, or even like fruits and nuts would be your carbs and protein, so things that you can just grab and go that's easy. If you're at home, like if you're somewhere where you can make like a smoothie before you go to the game and bring it with you so you can drink it after, that's an option, but I know hotels, that's not really an option all the time. But things like that are all things that you could do. Okay. Fats. Why is that? Is that important? Is it good
Some
for you?
fats.
Some fats, yes. Okay. Any of these we need to cross off?
Baked goods, bacon, ice cream, chips,
Okay.
chocolate.
Chips and chocolate. Okay. Any other ones? No. The rest is good. Well, I'll put a question mark.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause it depends. I'll cross it out. We'll leave dressing on there. So those are some of your good fats. Okay. Oils would be in there. That's pretty much it for good fats. Not a whole lot. So is that important for your performance? Why?
I'm not very versed
No, you got all the answers so far. So you're playing 2 games today, and 2 games tomorrow. And you know, you're kind of limited in meals because you only have in between games, you can't eat big meals. Is this important?
Well, carbs first, carbs and protein first, but then
Yeah.
maybe.
So,
It's
If like you don't have carbs or protein, it goes straight to the fats, right?
yeah. So this isn't really important in those times. So on a daily basis, is it important to have healthy fats? Absolutely. It's important for your immune system. It's important for the way your body works, your hormones. So we're girls, we're hormonal. We need healthy fats. We're just like, yeah.
Big jar peanut
Eat
butter.
fats. Okay. It's important for you to have nice nails and nice hair and nice skin. So fats are important. But when it's game time, this is the least important. It's the hardest to digest, so it takes longer to digest than protein and carbs. And if you're able to have 3 big meals and a snack, then fine, go for it. If not, you really want to focus to get most of your energy from carbs and protein the most. And then you can have a little bit of fats, but not a lot. Okay?
So your cheeses and all that before game time is not recommended.
No. So if you have a good 3-4 hours where you're going to be having, and that's going to come up in scenarios, but if you have a good 3-4 hours where you can really digest your whole meal, fine, you can have cheese in your meal, still not in excess. Maybe not extra cheese on a pizza. But if you only have an hour or 2, it's hard to digest. Some people are better than others, so this is just like general guidelines. You guys know yourselves. I know people that can eat like McDonald's and go on the ice and it's just the same as if they had fruit. But if your game is if you don't know, or if your game can be affected by what you eat, these are not the best foods to have right before a game, unless you have 3-4 hours. So a little bit of peanut butter on a toast isn't bad, but I just mean like in excess, so you wouldn't want to have cheese and sauces and things like that. Okay? Make sense so far? Okay. Alright. So, I'm going to give you a few scenarios, and I'm going to get you guys to work again. Do you still have papers, or do you, yeah?
What's your opinion on like Gatorade? Like, is it good for?
Oh my god, I forgot hydration. Thank you. Okay, so I talked about food. It's the most important thing, hydration. So drinking water, or whatever liquids you're drinking. So that starts now. So I know so many athletes that I work with that will not drink anything. They eat, but they don't worry about drinking water or liquids. And then, oh my god, tournament starts tomorrow, they start chugging the water. Doesn't work that way. Okay, so it starts at least a week before that you really need to be hydrated, but it should start right now, because if you're dehydrated, it affects your training. So you're working out, think of all the time you're spending on ringette. Do you want it to be worth it?
Yeah.
I would assume, right? You're missing dances and boyfriends, and so you really, if you want it to be worth it, you really need to drink water. Okay, so at least 2 to 3 liters per day, if not more. Okay, so this is probably like close to 1 liter, so 2 to 3, maybe 4 of those per day that you'd be looking at in water. Gatorade, anybody that drinks Gatorade? You guys drink it a lot?
No.
No? Okay. I say, my take on it is save Gatorade for days like nationals where you have 2 games. Or like Saturday this week where you have 2 games. You're going to be wasting a lot of energy, especially where you're training Friday night. It's late. You probably won't have time to have this big fancy meal. A day like Saturday, maybe Gatorade can help. But if it's just a 1 game, it's really not necessary. It's way more sugar than what you're going to burn. So not necessary. It probably won't hurt you. It's just sugar. But days where you have 2 games per day, things like nationals, where it's like 2 games. Is it 2 games every day, or is it 2-1? 2?
4 days straight.
All right. So when you start middle of the week, you're going to start feeling it. You're going to start being tired. Legs are going to hurt. That can definitely help in that case. You want to drink it during the game. So that's when you should be having it. During the game and after the game is when you should be having your Gatorade. Okay. Questions on that? So how to tell if you're hydrated? How can you tell if you're hydrated?
Your pee is clear.
Your pee is clear, yay. So if your pee is clear, it's a good sign. If your pee is yellow or dark yellow or slightly green, that's not a good sign. Okay.
It could be the protein.
Is it, sorry, go ahead.
Can you talk a little bit of les répercussions si ils font pas ça, là? Parce qu'il y a une paquet de filles qui ici dedans, là, on passe leur temps à leur dire de boire de l'eau et on boit pas.
Oh, no. Well, what I said at the start with the 50%, being dehydrated is even worse on your performance. It can lower your performance by up to 80% or more. So, I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't want to play at my 20%. That would be very good, right? So it is very Water intake is actually probably more important than what you eat. I don't want to say that so you guys go home and eat chocolate and chips and drink water, but it's probably more important than what you eat at this point. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to give you a couple scenarios. The first one is, I'll write them on the board. Where did I write them? So
So
this
while
is,
you're writing,
yep,
girls, those water bottles that are in front of you there, the one that Ditto's got in her hand,
Where?
that's 500 mils, okay? That means that you're gonna take 3 to 4
Oh, there we go.
liters of water. Reef what?
How
Six
many?
okay.
Good try,
Ça c'est 500, right? So that's what you're looking at
600.
thinking.
And that's an everyday type of thing. On like a game day, could be even more than that.
And is it not the other thing that I remember hearing somewhere, and maybe it's an old wives' tale, but when you're thirsty,
Yes.
that means you're already
Dehydrated.
beyond,
Yeah.
you're not helping yourself.
Yeah.
If you're thirsty, that means you're not gonna take a glass of water and then you're back hydrated. It's like a day before you ever get close to hydrated again.
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
really gotta take the water.
Puis comme moi, je suis une fille qui sue beaucoup, so devrais-tu en prendre plus?
If you sweat a lot, you need to drink more water. Especially ringettes. I mean, it's not just like going for a run. You have equipment on you that's gonna make you sweat even more. So you're losing more water. So part of it's going in your equipment, but you're still losing it. You actually lose water just by talking. So you should be talking on the ice all the time. So you're using so you're going to be losing even more water just by doing that. And like I said, it's before the tournament that it really counts. So if you go in day 1 already slightly dehydrated, by day 4, you're not going to be able to catch up. So you can't just catch up at nationals and drink water at nationals. You need to be fully 100% hydrated before nationals start. And that takes a good week or 2 or even more to get there. So you should be starting now to get in the habit, because if you're not drinking any water, it's hard to go from no water to 4 or 5 liters of water per day. So you should be slowly building up to that point. Okay? Alright. So scenario 1. Okay, so you have a game today at 2 o'clock. You only have 1 game. It's at 2. And you have 2 games tomorrow. Okay? So you've had breakfast. Actually, no, I'm not going to tell you that. Maybe you didn't have breakfast. So you have a game at 2 p.m. What are you going to eat today? So how many meals? Are you going to have snacks? When?
I was saying hamburger, but that's not that.
It's meat. It's protein.
Is it? Okay.
It depends if it's fat.
What about steak, Maddie?
Alright, is everyone done?
I don't know.
Okay. Alright. Who wants to share their day?
Nope, go.
You guys?
Okay.
Okay, so what are we doing?
So we have our déjeuner.
Okay, so what time are you eating breakfast?
10.
10? Okay. What are we having?
We are having oatmeal
Okay.
with yogurt and fruit.
Okay.
And you spelled yogurt wrong, Pippi.
No, c'est Yugo.
And orange juice to drink.
Okay.
And then like, what time did we say? Like 11:30 or something? We'd have a snack.
Okay.
Granola bar and water.
Okay.
Right after the game, chocolate milk. Oh, it's okay, like 3:30. Chocolate milk and nuts.
And nuts?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for supper is pasta. Did you say chicken?
Just say protein.
Yeah, with protein.
Okay, I'll just write meat. Okay.
And then a bagel before bed.
Bagel before bed. Okay, bed.
I wonder it costs me so much when we go on the road.
Supper. Okay. So we have, okay. So what the rest of you, what do you think? Is this good? Is this okay?
It's okay.
Should we change something?
I am. Second.
Eh?
I don't know what
Need
the
more
orange
water
is,
after.
depending what type of orange.
Well, tu bois l'autre
What?
Dépendamment du jus d'orange que tu prends. Là.
Fine.
Sans sucre
Okay.
Okay.
Straight out of the orange.
Okay, so a regular day, how many meals per day would you have? 3. How many snacks?
2.
Okay, so 3 and 2, or 3 and 1 and 2, or 3 and 3. Okay, how many meals are in there?
1, 2.
So there's only 2 meals in there, and it's game day.
Bah, tu peux te lever à 8 heures, manger à déjeuner.
Je pense pas, non.
There you go. That's what you should be doing.
What should we be doing?
Breakfast should be earlier,
That's
okay? And then that would give you time for either like another meal around, so if you had breakfast at 8 or 8:30, okay? That would give you time for another smaller meal, so bigger than a snack, bigger than a snack, but another meal, and then you go play your game, and then you can have, this isn't really a meal or snack, this is added into your day because that's your post-workout or post-game, just to replenish. And then you have your meal and another snack if you want to. So we're missing a meal basically out of all that. So there's 2 ways of doing it. You could be waking up earlier, having 2 meals before your game, or you could be doing this, and if you had a meal right away, like at 3:30, you would have an actual meal. You could have another meal around 6:37 if you only go to bed at 9:10. So those are the 2 ways of doing it. But there should always be 3 meals. Okay, other than that, your balance was good between carbs and protein, so I think you guys kind of get that, so that's good. But we're missing a meal, so sometimes, unfortunately, you have to get up early to get your nutrients in.
Is it more important to
Okay.
get sleep or the meals?
Both.
Okay, both. So,
You need to,
For
if you need
instance, like a late
to wake
game-
up early, you need to
Yeah.
go to bed early,
yeah.
when you
But
can. I mean,
sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, so it would be better almost for them to go to bed early, get up early to have their, because I know we've had
Yeah.
this discussion.
Yeah.
Get up early to get them to have breakfast, because we'll say, well, maybe we'll let them sleep in till 10 and not have that meeting. But we should still get them to get up at
Yeah.
8, have their meal, and then they can go have a nap after the game, or
Yeah.
sometimes get their sleep back, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm the early bird guy.
Okay. That's the sad, unfortunate part of sports, but that's what it is. Okay, so sleep is still very important, and that's one thing I didn't talk about, but from now until then, sleep is important. You should be getting at least 8 hours, if not 9-10 hours of sleep every night from here until nationals. So your phone should be in your bed at midnight or 1 o'clock, if some of you do that.
Thank you.
Huh?
Wait, the verdict was add a meal. Okay. Now, I didn't touch on this, but what kind of pasta was this? Alfredo? Brady wants me to do this, so I'm gonna do it. Who likes fettuccine Alfredo? Yeah, okay. So if you're going to like East Side or Boston Pizza or wherever, you guys always go to the same places. You're getting and we'll say this is between games. So we'll say you have 3-4 hours between your games and you're going to East Side Mario's and you want pasta, because I told you pasta was good, and you want chicken, because that's good too. So you get fettuccine Alfredo with chicken. This is the amount of fat. Pass it around so you guys can play with it. That's the amount of fat that you're eating. And I told you that fat was hard to digest. So this is 3 hours before a game, you're eating that much fat.
C'est the actual fat, so.
C'est
Yeah, it's fat.
Okay, it's yogurt. Okay, for dramatic. Now, not only that, but this is like a couple hours before a game. You're eating all that fat, and you're eating pasta because I told you pasta was good. Okay, but you're getting the full meal because it's at East Side, so this is Splenda, but we'll pretend it's sugar. So how many packages of sugar, so package 1 teaspoon, do you think you'll be digesting once you've had your bowl of pasta?
6.
10, 15, 7, 10, 12,
23.
Oh.
23.
Cycle.
It's about like 35 to 40. The equivalent of 9 slices of bread.
So that's in your Alfredo sauce.
That's it, well, in your pasta and your sauce is
Right.
that fat. So would you eat 9 slices of bread plus that big bag of fat
Heck
before a game? It's hard to digest.
We did that once.
Okay, so in between games, you should try to stick to smaller things, especially if you only have 2 to 3 hours. You don't have that much time to digest. And when I say 2 to 3 hours, you start your warm-up an hour before, ideally. So you really start your workout. You really technically start your workout an hour before game time, because it's warm-up time. If you're digesting all that fat while trying to do your warm-up, kind of defeating the purpose of what you're doing. Okay, so be careful about what you're choosing. So like a spaghetti with a tomato sauce would be a better choice in that case. Or even with 2 to 3 hours, I wouldn't even go to the pastas like that big, even cut it in half, fine. But even sticking to smaller things like a bagel or a bar with fruit, and yogurt, and milk, and things like that that are going to be smaller and easier to digest if you only have 2 to 3 hours. If you have 4 to 5 hours for a big meal, go for it. But sometimes the games are closer together. Okay? So, since I told you that, you're playing at 3 o'clock, and then you're playing at 7 o'clock. What are you going to eat? By the way, I forgot to say, there was only water here. So, someone's going to be dehydrated. Okay?
Wait, what's the scenario? Sorry.
You're playing at 3 and you're playing at 7. So we're playing at 3 and 7. So technically game 1 ends at 4. And you do your warm-up before, so 6. So you have 2 hours. So what are we eating? What are we drinking? Okay, someone else. One of you name fruit. What are we eating, Bridget?
For breakfast, oatmeal with a fruit bowl.
Oh, you did the whole day. Okay.
Oh, are we not supposed to?
Yep, go for it. What'd you say? Oatmeal with fruit?
Yeah, and a smoothie. Is that too much?
No? Okay. What time was this?
8:30 a.m.
Okay.
Nope, it's on my page.
Okay, next.
At 12 p.m., we'll eat chicken, rice.
Oh.
I actually didn't eat any coffee.
Okay.
And water. Oh, veggies and water. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, veggies. You didn't have veggies.
Okay.
After game, chocolate milk. And that would be at like 4 p.m.
Okay.
And then at like whenever you can get a meal, like 4:35 or something.
Okay.
I was gonna put 5, but then I put 4:30.
Okay.
Okay, doesn't matter. And then we could put, what could we put?
Fish.
Fish.
Not something too big.
That's not something too big.
We're playing another game.
Fruits.
Okay.
With a bagel. That's what I was saying.
Eggs.
Oh.
Bagel?
Egg.
Egg.
Yeah, bagel.
Okay.
Fruit and eggs together.
Yeah. Oui. Watch a couple dishes.
All right.
Well, I was thinking like a boiled egg.
Okay. Boiled eggs. Okay. So the other teams, what do you think? Good, bad? We need to change something?
Yeah.
Good?
But je vois que une place.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh, okay, yeah, you guys had one place too.
Shit,
Okay.
on l'a ajouté.
Coaches, what do you think?
Need something between 8:30 and 12.
Manque un meal.
Okay, first of all,
Smack.
12 o'clock, you're
But we
warming
made
up
a big
at
breakfast
2.
though. That's what I'm saying.
It's a little late.
Okay,
Little bit.
11:30.
Okay, that would be better actually. 11 or 11:30. Okay. Or if you want to have a small amount of this, you could fit in a snack in between, but that was a fairly big breakfast with the oatmeal, fruit, and smoothie. And then after that, what do you think about this? Good, bad?
Cause like you don't have much time between like the
Yeah.
4 and the game.
Yeah. So I would try to do it as soon as possible.
I'm gonna have your supper after the game.
Yeah. So there's no time to actually go sit down and have a nice big meal when you only have technically 2 hours to play with. So this should be where, I guess, coaches are involved, but this is where we would want to have all this stuff ready in the room or like in the vans or in a room at the rink or wherever it is, so you can eat right away so that you get a good, because this only leaves you, by the time you're done eating all of this, it'll be close to 5. It only gives you an hour to digest your food. So if you could have it right away after the game, that's when it would be the best time to have that. So this is great for nationals. You need to start practicing your nutrition now. So are you practicing breakouts?
Yeah.
Are you practicing passes? Are you training?
No.
No. Okay, you're practicing all this stuff. You need to practice your nutrition. You can't just show up at nationals and say, well, you know what, I'm going to wing it. I'm going to try fettuccine Alfredo and go on the ice 2 hours and see how it goes. It's not the time to wing it. Okay, so you need to practice this before. When you have 2 games, this is the time to try. If I eat this in between my 2 games, how do I feel? If I eat this 3 hours before, how do I feel? So that you know, because everybody is very different in how you're going to digest your food and what you need to eat, how much water you need to drink. So if you drink a liter of water an hour before the game because you're panicking, well, you're going to be wanting to pee the whole game. That's not fun. Okay, so you need to practice when should you drink your water, when should you eat your food, so that you know when you get to nationals what you need to do. Okay, water, like first, I wake up at like 6 a.m. to chug my water. Okay, so, where was I going with this? A few things that I didn't really point out, but we did say veggies here, but I didn't talk a whole lot about vegetables, but they're very, very important.
Hey, Mom.
Okay? Very, 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 very important.
You're all looking
From
for
here
it.
until then, I know, now I lost them, right? I saved it for the end, I'm not dumb. I do this every day. So, how many vegetables or how many servings? So if I say, like my fist size is 1 serving, how many servings of vegetables do you think you should be having every day?
5, 6. I don't know.
Yeah, about 6 to 8 for an athlete. Fist size, veggies. Plus fruit. So this is just veggies. And then add your fruit on top of that. So it should be about 3 fists per meal. Just about. And then your fruit on top of that. So eat more. Okay, so it's not just for fiber, but it's for vitamins and minerals. So I told you that girls, athletes, teenagers are the most prone to being deficient in vitamins and minerals. Where you get those is from your veggies and your fruit. So you need like broccoli, because it's very fibery and hard to digest. But things, yeah, or like, yeah.
We're all broccoli.
Yeah, so like this would be a good time to have like a fruit and veggie tray available for the girls, some yogurt, maybe wraps or things like that that are easy, chocolate milk. Okay?
Or water,
Yeah,
and I go to the bathroom an hour after, how much of that water do I actually lose when I go to the bathroom?
it depends on the person.
Too much information, Steven.
How long do you pee for?
Right?
It really depends. Some people absorb more water than others. If you drink 3-4 liters of water per day and you're still thirsty all the time, you obviously lose a lot of water. Either you sweat a lot, or you pee a lot, or you talk a lot. So you need to shut up. No,
Okay.
just kidding. Break. Take notes. So if you drink that much water and you're still thirsty all the time, you need to drink even more. So everybody's different in how much water you're going to absorb, how much you're going to lose. If you're actually talking about dehydration and sweating, if you have white lines on your clothing or on your gear when you sweat,
What's that mean?
like white, you see white lines?
Oh.
It's salt.
Is that bad?
Okay? It's not bad, it's just that some people are more salty sweaters than
I'm
others.
salty.
Okay? Or if your sweat tastes really, really salty, some people lose more salt, so then you need to replenish those electrolytes. So things like Gatorade can be helpful, especially when you have 2 games per day. Or just, especially like during nationals, if you're sweating a lot, adding salt to your food is not a bad idea.
What kind of Gatorade? Because now they have the 3 different kinds.
Not G2.
Not G2, so you should
G2
use
is
regular-
useless. Regular Gatorade, yeah.
And when you said you chug your water, that kind of, I remember hearing something about that. If, somebody said that, or I remember hearing that if you chug your water, you're actually not absorbing the water, your body's not actually, it's actually going right into.
Yeah, you want to have it all day long.
Yeah,
I drink like 5 liters
So
at
you're fine
least
to
a
chug.
day, so I chug and then I drink all day
Yeah.
long. But if I drink an hour before a game, I'm gonna pee all game long. So yeah, so it kind of depends. We get a halftime break,
Yeah.
which is great.
yeah,
Run to the bathroom, but yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so it really depends. Now, don't chug your water right before you go to bed because you're gonna be up all night peeing. So that's another side of it. The other thing, just to touch on, I don't know if it affects anyone, but it will in a couple of years, alcohol. Should not be drinking alcohol during training and national time, or ever, because you're too young. But it affects your training a lot more than you think. When you drink alcohol, what do you think it does to your training?
2 weeks of training.
Yeah. You can basically eliminate 2 weeks of training. Every time you drink. Cool. Okay. So you got 4 or 5 weeks left until nationals? Yeah. So if you're drinking once, from now until then, half your time of training is pretty much gone in terms of what it does to your body. Okay? So keep that in mind.
People don't believe me when I say that.
It's true. So any questions? Anything that was not clear? Anything you guys want to know that I didn't cover? No? Okay. So if you guys have any questions, like after this, don't be shy. You can email me, Facebook me, ask me at the rink, whatever. Doesn't matter. But don't be shy. And
When you're fighting in the corner.
yeah. Should I drink water? Probably. No! Please do that. I can use that as an excuse for like stopping. No. So good luck. If I don't see you, well, I will see you. We're probably going to play you guys again. Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Okay.
We'll see.
Est-ce qu'on va tester les filles, là, je pense qu'on va
Oh yes, please come.